topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to Entrepreneurs Ascending, where we believe in a better life through better business. Here, we help you aspire to greatness, achieve your goals, and ascend to new heights. Whether you're starting, scaling, or exiting, we're here to empower you with inspiring stories, enlightening discussions, and transformative resources to help you accelerate your success. Now, it's time for Entrepreneurs Ascending. Welcome to Entrepreneurs Ascending. It's great to have you here, and we hope that this is going to be a transformative resource or perhaps some helpful information for you as you're working to achieve your goals. You have some sort of vision out there as a business owner. Hopefully, you've got some sort of vision of what you want to create, maybe the impact that you want to have on your clients' lives, your employees, maybe your community. And how are you going to get there? We've shared before some stuff about mindset and confidence, but really being able to stalk your destiny is what it's about today. Having that more assertive approach, if you will, to going out there and getting what's out there for you. So we have a wonderful guest here today with us, and Tarah is going to share her book. She's an author. And she's going to share some of these principles for being able to stalk your destiny, as the name of the book is, as well as she's got a show, and she's going to share some information about that as well. So you can also follow her and learn more about what she's doing. But we're going to go ahead and bring Tarah on right now. Tarah?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Tarah. Thank you so much for being on with us today. And your book is Stalk Your Destiny, right?
The book you're mentioning is the ABCs to Stalk Your Destiny.
Oh, God, man, ABCs to Stalk Your Destiny. I'm sorry I messed that up. That's totally my bad.
That's okay.
But the ABCs to Stalk Your Destiny. And so as we kind of start off with this show, we kind of dig in a little bit about how you got to this point where you wrote your own book and you're coaching people and you're helping people on their ability to stalk their destiny. So What you got you to this point? What inspired you to stalk your own destiny?
What inspired me to stalk my destiny was being in the midst of a bad marriage, being a mom with a toddler, a baby, and being pregnant with my third son at the same time. During that time, I was in group therapy for childhood trauma. And so I was just seeking, I had lost my identity. And so I was seeking to know, who am I? Where am I in my life? Why am I here? And where do I want to go? How am I going to get there? And so that's how everything pretty much started off, with me seeking after me again.
Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, stalking your destiny is about your own identity, and it is about like your path, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's about, figuring out who you are, being your true, authentic self, and allowing it to be okay.
Excellent. Excellent. So sorry for, that tough background and that tough history. Sometimes the beauty in it that comes out of it is being able to help other people who are maybe being able to, or who have struggled similarly, and you're able to now be able to help them and in your service and your impact. So tell us more about kind of this idea of losing your identity, and that journey to rediscovering it.
Okay. So within the marriage, it really took a lot of time with God, I would say. For myself, stalking your destiny is about your identity in Christ, and knowing how to use that in the world. And so it took a lot of time with God, a lot of time of really getting a hold on what was going on with me, how was I feeling within my marriage, and how was I feeling as a new mother as well. And so when I was searching to see who am I, what I did was I went back to who I used to be, and I tried to find the pieces of me in that. And so in searching for the pieces of me, I discovered, like, what am I good at? And so what happened was things like labels. Like, I have been labeled OCD, I've been labeled with PTSD, recently been labeled with ADHD. So with labels, I use those labels that are negatives as my strengths. So now I'm able to help other people by utilizing what some would say is a handicap or a disability, which is not. It causes me to be even more able. So with my OCD, I was able to, I'll backtrack a little bit. The childhood trauma, I was in group therapy for that. In group therapy, they the women that were part of the group were like, "Why are you here? You should be teaching us. You should be leading us." And I was like, "Well, I'm here for the same thing you're here for. I'm here for healing." And so that awakened something in me, because I used to be very vocal in groups and workshops and things like that. I used to participate and learn and all of those things. And so I started actually as Stalk Your Healing, because I was determined to overcome the trauma. And so, but because of the heartache that it causes to hear other people's traumas, especially childhood traumas, I wasn't ready to face those things in other people. And that's where the OCD came into place. I'm like, I'm really good at organizing. So let me help others organize their life. Let me help people, And so I was able to have some people volunteer to be my clients. And I started strategizing, what does it look like to have a session with me? What does it look like to have a next session? And what, it just kept going. What comes next? And that's where I determined that in Stalk Your Destiny, we're connecting you to your destiny one step at a time. But in the same vein, we believe that everything you want to become, you already are. And so I started developing products with the company, because at the time, my husband used to come home and say, "Oh, you're not doing anything with our kids." And I used to be like, "Yes, I am." And I would write it down and show him what we did every hour. I'd be like, "Look what we did." And by the third day, he didn't care anymore. But I continued doing that for the next year. Just writing in a notebook for the next year, every hour of our day, for me and my babies. And one of my clients later found out that I was doing that, and she said, "Can you make something like that for me?" And so I used to make planners for people by customizing journals by hand, until I put it on the computer. And I started my line of planners and accountability tools to share with my clients and those who just wanted to better organize their lives. So that's the start.
Yeah, that's the start. So basically, people who go out there and well, even in my name, I've got my MBA after it, right? All those certifications. So maybe instead of looking at the OCD and the ADHD and the PTSD as things to hide, maybe we should just put them behind our names, and say, hey, you know what,
And you know
wear
what?
them proudly, right?
How you handle, because I help others with marriage and relationship communications and mediation. I help with navigating mental health and overcoming obstacles and goal setting. And so it how you handle your mental labels, mental health labels, how you handle those things and how you overcome them, I do believe that gives you a sense of qualification to help someone else to navigate it. Because if you handle yourself well, and you're in therapy yourself, or you have accountability in those things, you can absolutely help someone else, because you can relate to them with what they're going through. I have so many clients that have had that have mental health disorders and labels, and they feel like no one else understands. And they also feel like in therapy, they just want to diagnose them and fix the problem, versus helping them really navigate to it and own it. So yeah, for
And
me, yeah, my labels can absolutely go behind my name, because you can see the fruit of that labor.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, where it is kind of a badge of honor of what you've gone through,
Yeah.
and really celebrate that. What you've been able to go through, navigate, learn from that, and then be able to help other people.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an interesting way of doing it, right? Just
Yeah.
being able to wear it proudly. So,
Yeah.
but so you started. Uh, with kind of losing that identity, you said, like, it kind of,
Mhm.
in marriage, and kind of, and I think that happens to a lot of people, because
Mhm.
you're trying to figure it out early on, and
Yeah.
trying to just make it work with each other. So you started going through that healing of some of the childhood traumas that you had, and started laying out, what you were doing each day and your planning. How did that inform your search for that new identity? Or maybe not, I shouldn't say new identity, but your identity.
Well, that's where the tagline, everything you want to become, you already are. So once I
Mm,
embodied me in terms of like finding my strengths, and mine were found in those labels, I remembered that I wasn't the things that my ex-husband was calling me. I
mm,
wasn't boring. I wasn't without a personality. I had to run to the truth of who I was. And so I believe that standing in who I was and really seeing my strength in what was going on, which I didn't at the time. At the time that I was helping other people, I was broken, but my strengths were still there. I was heartbroken. I would say I was heartbroken. Um, However, my ability to help others was still there. That strength was still there, and even with me, I had to face, which later came out, that I was dealing with imposter syndrome. I didn't believe I was as good as I was. I was helping people, and they would tell me that I was really helping them, and what I did for them, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Sure, I did. You did the work. I didn't do anything. But the reality was, if it wasn't for my time and effort put into those situations and my listening ear for them, they wouldn't have made the changes they needed to make in their own lives. So I just really had to be honest with myself about myself and tear down the lies that other people wanted to say about me.
wow, yeah, that imposter syndrome is something that comes up for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so you took the time to reflect on, okay, this is what I'm doing well, and allowing yourself to look in the mirror and see the good, as opposed to nitpicking about all the little, issues that we often do. Like, whenever we look in the mirror, like, where's my
Mhm.
hairline today? Like, and not
Well,
speaking from personal experience there, but no, but totally. But I'm a dude, right? Like, I'm always like,
yeah,
but
we all do. We all
right,
we all check
right.
our hair.
So how were you able, though, to turn that around, though? Because I mean, we have these habits that we oftentimes learn. I mean, I think all of us kind of learn to look for the nitpicking, as opposed to the things that we really appreciate about who we are. So what was that moment, or what was that major influence, if you can put a finger on it, that helped you just to flip it around?
um, what was the thing? I think I needed something. I needed something, and I was already absent. Tara was not present in my personality. I was literally just a mom and a wife. And so when I decided to search for me and seek me out, I don't really know what the turning point was. I just knew I had to find me again.
Hmm.
And I think, with that therapy group, and them saying like, you should be leading us, I think that was
Hmm.
the thing that made me get up. That was the thing that made me get up. However, there was a breaking point. Okay, none of this was pretty, and so there was a breaking point. And I don't often talk about it, but for the sake of sharing, so people can understand, it was not all pretty. I think the day that I decided to find me again was my sister's wedding 10 years ago. And it was, I believe, July 8th, 10 years ago, maybe June 8th. Sorry, I don't know your wedding anniversary. But June or July 8th, I believe, 10 years ago this year. And at her wedding, this song came on. It's by Music Soul Child, and it's called Love. And I was on the dance floor. I had a 3-month-old son. So this was my second child was born. He was 3 months old at this time. And I just broke down crying on the dance floor. And my best friends from college at the time were there at the wedding. And so they rallied around me, and they reminded me of who I was, because most of my life before I got married was in Louisiana with them. And so at that point, that was the day that I decided to change my life. And that's what made me go to group therapy. And then group therapy made me realize, like, I am helpful to people. It made me start remembering me. And that steered everything else.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, so you've taken some of your journey and what you've learned along the way, and put it into the ABCs of Stalk Your Destiny. I got it right that time, right?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Great. I'm growing. I'm getting better. All right. So the ABCs of Stalk Your Destiny.
Yeah.
So what can you kind of share, overall about, if I want to try to find my identity, maybe I'm kind of in a similar situation, trying to figure it out. Where's that A? ABC, A. Where's the A? Right. Yeah. Sorry.
The A in ABCs to Stalk Your Destiny is accountability. And so if you don't actually have to start with A if you're trying to find yourself. If you're trying to find yourself, you want to pick up remnants of your past. You want to review your life, because the pieces of you from your past are still there. And I think holding yourself accountable to seeking out those pieces is the part that's very necessary. In the ABCs to Stalk Your Destiny, being accountable is really about doing what you need to do, and so with me fighting for myself, and if anybody's fighting, to find their own identity, don't run from it, run to it, and hold yourself accountable to that.
You kind of held yourself accountable to the good things, though, too, right? So whenever you were kind of starting out to really understand, and it's been a couple of conversations this week about accountability and how it could be used against you or used for you, and I think it's fair to say, especially with the journey that you were sharing, that it's probably the case for ourselves too, of what we're holding ourselves accountable. Are we holding ourselves accountable to the good actions that we're taking and paying attention to that? So maybe you could kind of start there too, right? So what else are the sorry, what else is there to the ABCs? And so we've got accountability. What's B?
B is balance. You want me to just go down the list for you?
Sure. Yeah. Are we going all the way to Z?
We can. I can just go down the list.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. What are those ABCs?
You don't have to talk about them all, but it's accountability, balance, taking a chance, direction, effectiveness, focus, goals, habits, identity, journey, knowledge, learning, management, networking, opportunity, purpose, question, routine, success, trust, understanding, value, wise choices, X-ray or looking within, you matter, and zeal.
Zeal. I was wondering what that Z was going to be. I honestly hadn't taken a look at that yet. But that's wow. That's powerful. So if we're going to start, so like you said, you didn't necessarily have to start to A. So start with A. So where does the journey start for most people?
It starts with you. Identity. So
identity.
Identity,
But that's I.
direction, and then accountability.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Identity,
Identity,
direction, and then
direction, and
accountability.
accountability.
Yes, because you
Okay.
have to know who you are, where you want to go, and how are you going to get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So the accountability comes in the how, once you figured out who you are, where you are, and where you're going.
So do you ever find that people they struggle with who they are like right now, trying to figure that out? But do they have kind of a vision of who they want to be, and maybe can they build that vision of where they want to move, or how does that kind of work together?
I think most people have a false reality of where they want to be,
Hmm.
because they're not acknowledging who they really are at the core. They're not being authentic to themselves. They're putting on a mask, and that's where we find depression, and that's where we find these just false realities. And
Hmm.
so once they take off the mask, then we can say, and I ask people, the first question I ask in our sessions is, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And that's how we find out who they are and where they are, because that usually uncovers a line of trauma, that uncovers whether or not they believe in themselves. And that also tells us this is where you want to go. And then we have more deep questions to ask to find out, does your mind really line up with what you're saying? Does your heart really line up with what you're projecting you want to be? Or are you lying to yourself? Are you minimizing yourself? Or are you actually going in the direction of who you are and your goals for your life?
Now, you didn't say what do you want to be when you grow up, right? You said who do you want to be when you grow up,
Who?
right?
Yes. Who
Yeah.
do you want to be when you grow up? Yes.
Now, what's the difference between answering that question, or what's the difference between the answer to the questions, what do you want to be and who do you want to be? Why did you choose who?
Well, the who is just going towards the identity, but either way, if I'm leading the session, if I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? The what gives you a title, and the titles don't really tell you who you are. And
Mm-hmm.
so if I say, what do you want to be when you grow up? People say, oh, I want to be a teacher. Well, that's fine and dandy, but who are you as a teacher? What kind of
Yeah.
teacher are you going to be? And what part of you is naturally a teacher anyway? So I'm getting to the heart of the matter by asking, who do you want to be when you grow up? Or, even if I say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't want the labels.
Yeah, because I might say, "Oh, what do you want to be when I grow up?" Man, I always wanted to be an NBA player, right? But the who I am is not a 6'8", right? I happen to just be 6 foot even. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
You can
it's
still play in
important.
the NBA, just what role,
Yeah, I can help make sure that they have enough water. That's probably. So yeah. So the what you end up putting labels on things rather than and things that maybe do not really describe who you are. But if you say who do you want to be, that seems like that gets more to that identity and the things that so as an NBA player, well, what is that? What's so cool about being an NBA player?
Yes.
Um, so I would imagine, if I'm gonna play with that around, a little bit, well, who? Well, I really love the idea of, I mean, maybe loving the sport, so doing something in with the sport of basketball,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe even just being able to do something with the team, loving the team
Yeah.
aspect of it. So being able to identify
Mm-hmm.
who you are, that I and then you can kind of figure out what role might be best for you in life. Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. So we start off with that identity and really understanding who you are, and what's that next step?
Mm-hmm.
What's that next step
Where
after
are
identity?
you?
Where are you? Okay.
Direction. Mm-hmm.
The direction. So
Direction. Yeah.
kind of like with a GPS, trying to figure out where we are currently to figure out, and then is it where we want to
Where you
go? Is
want to
that
go.
that third piece?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So Now you said that when you're coaching with people and you're working with people and you have some of these planners, how how do people like leverage the planning tools and whatnot to be able to navigate who I am and where I'm trying to go?
Well, they usually don't get the planners up front with me. What
Okay,
happens is after they become a client, I'm sorry, did I
go
cut
ahead.
you off?
Go ahead. Nope, nope.
Oh,
I was
okay.
saying okay. Yeah.
So, so after they become a client, then we start a few sessions. We may do a roadmap to success, which is a 10-year, 5-year, 3-year plan. We would do a 1-year plan and 1-year breakdown, 2 quarters. And once we get that broken down, we would go all the way to the next 4 weeks. And that's when they would start to use a planner, start to do better timing, better organization. And depending on what they need, we would decide which planner they need. Some are business planners, some are student planners, some are planners to just check in with yourself and keep your agenda, um, and some are just agendas. It's 12 different planners and accountability tools, and so we don't jump right ahead to that because most people want to start there, like, oh, I just need to better organize my life, and I'm like, no, you need to know who you are and you need to acknowledge where you are in your life right now. And some people, with acknowledging where they are, they have to take accountability for how they got into that position, and being honest about how that makes them feel, because this is why you want to go where you want to go as well, figuring that out. So we don't jump to the planners, but we definitely go over what do you want your life to look like. And then we plan according to that to see what changes need to be made and, how we're going to get there. That's the accountability steps.
I appreciate you explaining that more because yeah, I wanted people to be able to understand that it's not necessarily just as simple as just using some tools, using an agenda and whatnot. I love that, it does take some of that inner work to try to really figure these things out. It's so easily overlooked um, and it's not always comfortable. Like you said, it's not always pretty, right? To go through this
Yeah.
and do some of that hard work. Um, so why is it important then? And we've got a couple more minutes here, but real quick, succinctly, just why do you think it's so important to have a coach such as yourself to work with, going through a process like this?
Well, it's important. What with Stalk Your Destiny, first of all, a stalker is someone who's relentless. And so if you're going to go after your destiny, then do that. If you're going to be relentless about anything, we want to be relentless about our goals and what belongs to us, which is our destiny. And so then a stalk is also a support. And having a coach or an accountability partner, or as I'm labeled, a chaos coordinator, that just helps you to identify things you may not see. They pull things out of you. Well, I do. I can't speak for all coaches. As
Sure.
a coach, I pull things out of you, and show you who you are, show you what I'm seeing. I identify patterns of behavior as well that some people didn't even know they had, and in seasons and all of those things. And then I'm there to support you along the way and even assist if I have to. So having a coach, because even as a coach, I have coaches. It helps me to get clearer on my strategies. It helps me to get clear on my executions. And it gives you that nudge of support again that you need. That could be also encouragement to know that you can make it as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. No, that's an excellent summary. So, if anybody wants to get a hold of you and find out more about your programs or your book, or some of your tools and all of that, how would they best reach out to you and find out more?
You can reach out to me at www.stalkyourdestiny.com. You can feel free to call me at 225-405-1086, or you can email me at stalkyourdestiny.com. And also, if you look on any social media platform, you can put in Tarah M. Williams or Stalk Your Destiny, and all the information about me will come up, as well as my 10 other books will come up also.
Wow, that's productive. I gotta hurry up and finish my book. And when you say 10 other books, yeah, I mean that's 11. Then I gotta hurry up. That was great, and it was stalkyourdestiny@gmail.com, right? That's your email address if somebody wants to email you.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Okay,
Yes.
well, thank you so much for your time today. Really, really appreciate it, and I hope for the listeners out there, I hope you really take this information and apply it. Check out Tara's book or her 10 other books, and check out her website and find out more because you've got so much potential inside of you, and sometimes it's hard to see it for ourselves. Sometimes it's hard to look at that mirror and see our strengths, like Tara was saying, and being willing to do something with them and have the courage to do something with them. So we
Mhm.
appreciate you, Tara, and appreciate all the listeners here today. And thank you, and we're signing off. Thank you for
Thank
being with us
you.
today. But now is the time to put what we talked about into practice. Remember, your family, employees, and community are depending on you to rise up and win. The great news is you're not alone. You're part of a resurgence of entrepreneurs who are ready to take their business, life, and impact to the next level, and we're going to do it together. This show is powered by Time for Success, where we help business owners every day who want more freedom and wealth while building a legacy of positive impact. Please follow Time for Success on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube for more helpful strategies and tools for creating the business and life of your dreams.